Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and I am going to be doing a little stamping and making some Halloween tags. So I thought I'd turn the camera on with you guys. So I have a bunch of these different inky backgrounds, and I am just going to cut these down and make some tags with these. So yeah, so I hope everybody is doing well. I'm going to make the tags about 6 by 3. And then I'll use the scraps for some other things. But yeah, I've been doing pretty good. Been enjoying this beautiful weather we've been having. Absolutely stunning weather. It makes me so happy. I love fall. This morning I did a little decorating around the house, getting some of my Halloween decorations out, and yeah, getting the house decorated up a little bit. I am behind on doing my decorating, mainly because we were out of town. So then just getting back into the swing of things. Yeah, we went out to LA, so that was a fun trip. But now we're back. But we did book her flight for her to come home at Christmas time, so I'm excited about that. So that'll be fun. I am gonna do a craft fair this weekend, so I've also been getting ready for that. The weather is not looking good though, so I don't know if we'll have to cancel. So any of you local folks, make sure to follow me on Instagram, and I'll let you know if I'm going to make it out there or not. Let's see, I think I have enough here. So we'll start with that. I have a few more if I need some more. But I've been having fun with my Halloween stamps. I did a little bit of watercoloring the other day, and that was a lot of fun. Where's the other one I did? Yeah. Cute. But I just picked up this VersaFine black ink because I feel it is so much better for stamping. I was using my Tim Holtz Distress and my Archival black from Ranger, and I just kept having to restamp and restamp, and that was super annoying. So I have this stamp set here that it has a whole bunch of different little Halloween, you know, a ghost, a hat, a moon, a pumpkin, spider. And then I have these webs here. So I got these last year. I honestly cannot remember where I got them. So this is kind of what I'm trying to recreate here. So I'm going to set this over here. And I love doing this on the inky backgrounds. So let's see how it turns out. Some of these stamps are, I think, a little bit thicker than some of the other stamps. So I think that kind of causes some of the problems. So we'll see if this VersaFine ink helps at all. And then I have the little boo here. That says Happy Halloween. That doesn't say boo. Y'all, my eyes are not acting like before. Something has changed, and I'm kind of concerned. But I have an eye appointment scheduled, so hopefully it'll be nothing, but I would appreciate any prayers from you guys on my eyes, because it's my prescription for my eyes just doesn't seem to work like it was. Let's see. Okay, here's this one. Here we go. I'll use these two. Let's see which ones will fit. Okay, so with the spider web, I'm going to need to scoot this over. That's right. And I'm going to line it up right on that line right there. And I do need to put a little bit something underneath here so I don't stamp on my stamp pad. So let me know, what stamp station do you have, and would you recommend it? I picked this up a long, long time ago. At, what was it called? Tuesday mornings. And I haven't really needed to get a different one, so I'm always curious if I should or not. So I'm going to put a little bit of web right here, and then we'll put a little bit of web right there. And some of this will get cut off when I cut the tag, but that's okay. And I may have too many here, but we'll give it a go. We'll see how the new ink does. Put that back over here. Make sure I'm on camera for you all. There we go. Sorry if I was off camera a little bit. All right, let's try. Yeah, when I did my in-person little crafty day, oh, I forget her name. Shoot, I apologize if I can't remember your name. It's been a hot minute since then. But she had this ink and was stamping, and I was just so impressed with the quality of the stamp. Now, I don't know if it'll help if these are all different heights, so we'll see. Yeah, I mean, some of them did pretty good, actually. The ghost, again, the ghost is my troublesome one. I feel like all these other ones look really good. So let's just do one more little stamp here. And if I have to take all the other ones off and just do the ghost, I will. Yeah, the boo is looking like it could use a little bit more. So I think I'll do the ghost and the boo. And I'm going to take the spider off. I'm going to take the pumpkin off. And let's see how that looks. All right, almost there. Perfect. Oh my gosh. And see how cute that is? And then I'm just going to ink around the edges and cut the little corners off, and then we'll add some fun little trims on there. But how cute is that? So I'm also, on some of these, I might do a little extra stuff in the background. Like this one probably won't need anything, but I might add a little bit of some stenciling or something in the background. So I'm going to keep stamping all of these, and then I'll come back and show you all the next step. All right, I got all of these stamped, and I tell you what, this ink, I know most of y'all probably already know this, is fabulous for doing stamping like this. And then the other trick my patron Stephanie suggested is you put another piece of paper underneath the item you're stamping, and it actually helps, and it worked like a champ. So Stephanie, thank you so much for that tip. So now I am going to I'm going to trim the corners like I have on these, and I'm just doing kind of a small little trim. So I'll do that off camera, and I'll ink around the edges, and then we'll come back and I'll see if some of these, if I want to do a little bit more, some sort of final touches on any of these. Some of them might be just fine as is, but oh my gosh, these are so stinking cute. I really love these inky backgrounds, and I'll show you how to do an inky background if you want to see how I do it. And the thing to remember is you get what you get when you do an inky background. You know, you can't throw a fit, so to speak. So yeah, and I'll be back. So I just wanted to show real quick for anyone who might be new how I made these inky backgrounds. And again, it depends on whatever colors you choose. So right now I have picked out dried marigold. I've picked out, and that's a distress spray. And then I have crackling campfire as an oxide. I have carved pumpkin oxide, and rusty hinge, and spiced marmalade oxide, and fired brick oxide. And with the oxides, you need to make sure you mix up the oxide pigment in there. Make sure it gets shooken up really well, otherwise it'll clog your sprayer, and also you won't get, you know, the full effect if you haven't had it shaken up. This is a great deal. I'm sharing a secret with you guys. This is from Dollar Tree, the Jot watercolor paper. You get 24 sheets, and they are 8 inches by 10 inches. And these are great for doing some fun little watercoloring or mixed media projects. So I will cut these down after I spray them. The other thing you'll want is some water in a little spray bottle. I just have this Tim Holtz one, but you can use whatever spray bottle. And then some napkins. If you want to wear gloves, then get you some gloves on to keep your fingers clean. I'm not so worried about that. So I'm not an expert by any means. This side's a little bit rougher than that side, but I'm going to do the smooth side, but they're both pretty smooth. And I will put a little bit of water on the card first, and then I just kind of do some spraying. I spray around, and since it's Halloween, I'm kind of going for some orangey type colors. You want to wipe off the nozzle on these to keep them clean. I'm going to do a little crackling campfire. This one has a little more red to it, so I'm going to go kind of light on this. And with these distress oxides, I like to spray some water into the nozzle and then wipe it off, and that kind of helps the nozzle from getting clogged. Let's see, I want to do, now this one, I'm afraid my sprayer is going on the fritz, so we'll see if I can get this to work. Yeah. Okay. And then we'll spray that one. Sometimes these leak, so you just have to be careful of that. That's why I store these standing upright in my drawer. And then I want to do a little rusty hinge. I think that's pretty. And you can leave some white in the background, or you can cover it all the way up. But as you can see, and like leaving it like this to dry is perfect. That's what you're looking for. These, you can see they're a little bit more kind of smoothed out. And so I just then went ahead and sprayed some more water on these just to activate the ink and get the ink kind of rolling around and blending together. And like I said, you know, you get what you get. You don't really throw a fit. Now, another thing to add to these, if you want to add like a little bit of brown, you can add a little bit of brown, like scorched timber or gathered twigs. So see how that's all just kind of blended together nicely. So then I'm going to set this over on a towel to dry. And that's how I do my inky backgrounds. So I never know what I'm going to get, and I'm okay with that. The other thing you'll notice is the oxide. Once the oxide dries, that's where, like, you see some of this kind of where it looks almost like a whitish. Those are the oxides, the effect that the oxides have on the inks. So if you don't want any of that, then you'll want to primarily use the stains and not the oxide sprays, just the stain sprays. So I'm going to do another one, and I'm going to grab a little gathered twigs. So I'm just going to do one more. So again, I'm going to start with the dried marigold. Kind of spray it around. And if you want more splatters, just kind of don't press all the way down on your nozzle like that, and you'll get a little more splatter effect. Let's see. And I got the gathered twigs. I want to do some spiced marmalade on this one. You could add like a little fossilized amber if you want to bring in a little yellow. It's really just, you know, you kind of grab for your sprays and experiment. The other thing to do is if you have your ink pads, you can do this with your ink pads just on a like a glass surface. Just add a little the ink, smush the ink onto your glass surface or silicone surface, and then add some water, and then you dip your tag down into the puddle of the ink. And you can do this with paints as well. So I'm just going to add a little, hopefully I won't make mud, but I'm adding just a little bit. The other thing that probably makes more sense to do is to wait for all of these orangey colors to dry, and then come back and add a little bit of the brown. But we'll see what happens here. But this is all I do to make my backgrounds. So there's hundreds of different ways to do this. Everyone kind of develops their own technique. That's what's fun about kind of playing and doing it and learning. So the water definitely reacts, and I like kind of the added of the brown. It kind of gives it a little more kind of spooky-ish. And then I'll come back and show you these once these have dried. And I use way too much ink. You definitely don't have to use this much ink. It's your preference. These are just about dried. So I wanted to show you. You can see, remember how shiny they were when they were wet? And look how that oxide really kind of adds that kind of chalky film over top. And this one is, I added a little bit of the gathered twigs. So when you cut these down to tag sizes, you'll get some really cool, interesting backgrounds, you know, similar to these here. So you never know kind of what you're going to get. So this probably has a lot of fired brick in it. This one has a lot of the spiced marmalade and the carved pumpkin. So, you know, it's just fun to spray, let them dry, and then keep them for future projects, whether you want to do tags or pockets or journal tags. You can even use these, you could cut these down for journal covers and decorate them up. So lots of options. And like I said, you can do it with your ink pads if you don't have the sprays or the distress paint. So lots of different ways that you can kind of create these if you don't have the sprays. But the sprays are really fun to play with. I have finished up the tags, just about. I wanted to show you the one last little detail that I added with a stencil. So I'm using this stencil here. Not sure what number it is. Let's see. You can see that number there. But I just used kind of this section right here where the holes are kind of tiny. And then I had this cute little ghost ribbon, and so I just stapled that on to add a fun little topper on these. But I used carved pumpkin and fired brick, and sometimes I used a little vintage photo, but I mostly used the carved pumpkin. And like I said, I just went around and I used these little small holes here and just kind of did a little stenciling just to add a little bit of extra detail and interest in the background. So I want it in the background so it's not like super noticeable, just kind of there. When you look at it, you notice it, but you don't notice it, I guess. So just kind of put it around in a few little spots. And like, look how this is just how the ink dried on this one, which is really cool. So I don't think I'm going to really cover that up. So I am going to do a little fired brick. And you can just wipe away the orange. That's why it's good to have a little mat like this. So see, that adds just another little bit of interest right there. And that I like the fired brick with this. I'll add maybe a little bit right there. And I don't really think I need any brown on this one. I think we're good. Okay, so let me show you. I'll do a quick little display. And I'll move this mat out of the way. So I think they turned out so cute. And I love the variety I get from spraying this watercolor paper. They're so cute. And I like the little bit of sparkle. You could add like a little spritz, a spray of spritz over top of these if you want a little more like shimmer to them. But I don't think I'm going to do the shimmer on these. I kind of like them the way they are. So I think these are so cute. I love how these came out. And I love the color variation on these. So yeah. So thank you all so much for watching. And I hope this inspires you to make some fun little inky tags. And I would appreciate a like and a comment. And if you want to share my video, that would help as well. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.